Yep, that's right, guys and gals. I've already broken my Kawasaki ZX-9R, but I'm gonna jump on. Let's go for a ride, take her out for a spin, and let's see if you guys can figure out exactly what was wrong with her. I'm sure that some of you will pick up on it pretty quickly, but come on, keys. There we go. Yeah, there's a few things that I've found out about this motorcycle after well, how long have I owned it now? What, 3 weeks? 3-4 weeks, something like that. And yeah, there's a few things that I think I'm gonna have to take a look at. But the main thing, let's get out of this little estate here. Let's see if you guys can figure out. Well, that's one issue there. I don't know if you noticed it then, but yeah, the front brake is, no, it kind of sticks, so it's sticky. It so you get no pressure, no pressure, no pressure, no pressure, and then lots of pressure. So I might have to give the calipers a bit of a clean, I reckon. I don't know. Right, so this next bit we should get a good opportunity to show you what's happening with this motorcycle. And it's all my fault. It's not the bike's fault whatsoever. It's all down to me. Alright, what gear are we in? Okay. Let's see if I can. Oh goodness! So we've got two slow vehicles in front of us. Well, that's always handy, isn't it? All right. Well, let's see. Let's hang back a little bit. All right. Ready? Here we go. I'm gonna punch it. 3, 2, 1. Man, didn't have enough room. Didn't have enough damn space. All right. Let's go down a gear. All right. Let's slow down a little bit. Okay. All right. Here we go. Did you guys see that? Did you hear it? Yeah. That, my friends, is the clutch slipping on this motorcycle. And it's all my own fault. I only have myself to blame because I was practicing wheelies on this motorcycle, and pretty sure that the clutch that's in this motorcycle is probably the original. So yeah, the 24-year-old one. I mean, the bike itself is fairly cool at the moment, so the clutch is probably biting better than it would after it's warmed up a little bit. But yeah, all my own fault. The wheelies I was practicing on this motorcycle were second gear clutch ups, and as you can imagine, if you're not doing them right, which I'm almost certainly not, then yeah, there can be quite a wear on the clutch. So anyway, I've got a new set of friction plates on their way. I've also got a new set of heavy duty clutch springs and a new clutch case gasket as well. So I mean, I'm hoping that the friction plates will be enough to fix this motorcycle, but we'll have to wait and see. I mean, when I was practicing them and I noticed that I was doing the same things, and before I was getting the front wheel up, and now I wasn't. Instead, the bike was just revving sky high, and yeah, it wasn't giving me a lot of lift or a lot of power even. So I pulled over to have a feel of the clutch case, which by the way is on the right hand side of the motorcycle. Maybe we can pull over at some point and I'll show you guys properly, but it was really toasty, really hot. It was hot to the touch through my glove. So yeah, she was hot, and I think I was simply just pushing it too far. I mean, on the piece of road that I had, I was probably pulling about 2 or 3 wheelie attempts at a time, and I wasn't giving her much of a rest. So, you know, it is what it is. It's how it goes with bikes, you know, especially old bikes. When you're taxing them a lot, especially really wearable parts like the brakes, like the clutch, like the suspension. Something is going to break one way or another, but so we'll just pull in here and I'll show you guys what I mean here. Oh, BMS Motorcycles. There's a new motorcycle shop here, is there? Okay. Might have to go down there and have a look at some point. But yeah. So the clutch case is this section right here, basically where you put the oil in. But yeah, I mean right now she's feeling warm, as well it should be warm, but it was scalding hot. So yeah, not great unfortunately, but alright. So apart from that, I mean the bike is running pretty well. I mean the engine itself is still really strong. She pulls really well, but the front brake. So I was thinking about replacing the brake fluid on this bike anyway. I mean, you can see the fluid is looking all right. It's not looking too dark. It's looking pretty bright. So I thought about just leaving it as it was, but I'm probably gonna have to do that. I'm gonna have to take the calipers off as well, and I think I'm gonna have to give them a good old clean, because I think that's what's causing the stickiness of the pistons. It only really happens when you're going at slower speeds, which is even worse, because the thing you don't want is the front wheel locking up when doing slower speeds, because, well, we don't want the front wheel locking up full stop, but yeah, at lower speeds it makes it harder to predict. So I need to look at that. I still need to look at the indicator issue, but I mean that's an MOT issue. The indicators do work, so I'm not in such a rush to get those fixed, and I'm pretty sure the police won't pull me over for those either, because, well, it's not really their job. As long as the indicators work, I think the police won't mind. But I mean, apart from that, there has been one thing that I've been kind of mulling over ever since I bought this motorcycle, because I've been putting in E10 fuel into this bike. I've put in E5 twice, and that's the super unleaded fuels that you can get at the petrol stations. They are usually E5. And I mean, I've been kind of wondering whether or not it's really an issue putting E10 in a carbureted motorcycle, basically a motorcycle pre-2000, the year 2000, and that's when most motorcycles started going fuel injected. And basically any fuel injected motorcycle should be good on E10. But so I was reading up on some forums about all of it, and I really wasn't sure. You get conflicting information. You get some people saying that as long as the petrol is no more than E10, then it should be fine. The UK government website says that this motorcycle isn't on the list, that is safe for E10. So I don't know. I mean, I've been running E10 through it, and she seems to be okay. But yeah, I understand that it's the perishables, the rubber seals and things like that might not have as good a time on E10 as they do on E5. But there was a video that I watched a little while ago. I can't remember what the channel was. I'll see if I can find it. But basically they had a look at, they did an experiment. They went around just local petrol stations here in the UK, and they did all the branded ones, and they went to go actually test how much ethanol is actually in E10. And it turns out that most of them actually have less than 10% ethanol. So E10 doesn't mean that the fuel has 10% ethanol in it. It means it has up to 10% ethanol in it. So technically speaking, as long as the fuel that I'm using in this bike has got less than 10% ethanol in it, then we should be good. But yeah, I know it's a risk, and we'll have to wait and see how this bike kind of goes during the time that we ride her, during the time we own her. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. She runs perfectly fine on E10, so I'm going to keep on running it, and maybe every other time, maybe 1 out of 3 fuel stops, I'll put in E5. But I mean, it's not, the price difference isn't that extravagant, because I mean, this is a 19-litre tank, I think, maybe even less than that. And usually when I'm filling up about, I don't know, 12 litres, 12, 13 litres at a time. I mean, there's no fuel gauge on this motorcycle, there's no fuel light, so pretty much it's like, well, you're gonna have to guesstimate how much fuel you've used. I mean, basically I'm working on the assumption that if I've taken this motorcycle out 3 times, and each time has been longer than an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, then she needs some fuel. And that hasn't steered me wrong yet, but the reserve tap is literally just there, and so if she does start running a little bit ropey, it's probably because I'm low on fuel. Just flip it over to the reserve and we should be good to go for, I don't know, another 30 miles or so, basically long enough for me to find a petrol station. But yeah, just another interesting quirk about this 24-year-old motorcycle, which it still amazes me how good she runs for 24 years old. And I mean, what's the mileage on her right now? 35,318 miles. So I've put on basically about 600 miles since I've owned this motorcycle, and that's quite a lot of mileage for how many weeks? 3 weeks, 3-4 weeks max. And one of those weeks I was on holiday, so I was in Tenerife for 7 days, so it wasn't getting used over that week either. But yeah, it's a shame that the clutch is slipping on this motorcycle, but to be fair, it's not the end of the world. She still runs pretty good on the clutch. I've kind of got to give her, I don't know, 50 to 75% throttle in any gear past first gear, so second gear up, and that's when it may start slipping. But you know, whatever, it's fine. I've got a new clutch kit on its way, which by the way cost me about 50 quid all in all. I got it from eBay. I didn't get a Kevlar clutch friction plates, I didn't get those. I think I just got organic ones, but they'll do. So I think the clutch plates themselves cost me, I think, about 30 quid, 35 quid, something like that. The gasket cost me about 7 or 8 quid. The springs, the heavy duty springs, cost me, I think, about 13 quid. You know, so less than £50 all in, hopefully, to replace this clutch or to fix this clutch. Now when we actually come to take it apart, which I've never done before, but it should be a fairly easy process, but we'll have to check if the steel plates in between the friction plates have got any bluing on them, and if they do, then I've got to check to make sure that they're flat. If they're flat, then we should be good. And I mean, if not, then it might be worth buying a new set of steel clutch plates as well. So we will see. Anyway, so for the time being, to practice my wheelies, I think I'm going to have to go to my ZX2 for a little while. They're not going to be clutch ups, they're going to be power wheelies, throttle ups. But, you know, it's more of a case at the moment of me getting used to how the bike feels being on the one wheel. And I've been able to pop a few good ones, not massively high ones to the point where I'm able to balance the bike, you know, I'm chasing them out the whole time. But I'm able to consistently get the front wheel off the floor, and there's been a few where I've been able to get the wheel about a foot off the ground. So not a massive amount, but pretty good, considering I haven't practiced wheelies since I had my old CBR 600RR, and those were first gear clutch ups. I mean, we're in first gear right now. We'll see if we can just pop one in first gear whilst we're here. I don't think it's going to work though, because again the clutch isn't biting as good as it used to, but we'll see, because we're on a straight in a second. We'll see if we can get the front wheel up. let's see. No, clutch is slipping. Felt it straight away. Shouldn't feel like that. So I don't know. We'll have to. Let's see. I mean, she's pulling okay. It's just she's binding, but no, clutch is slipping, even in first gear at higher revs. I mean, given it that amount of power before, it was picking up the front wheel, so you know, whatever. But anyway, guys and gals, I mean, that is pretty much it for today's. Oh, there you go. It just happened then. Don't know if you saw that, but yeah, that the front brakes just kind of bit pretty hard as we were coming to a stop there. We were traveling, well, less than 10 mile an hour or so. But I love the fact that I'm able to lean this bike well over. It's sick. It's a really fun motorcycle. I'm still happy with it. And, you know, that's why I mentioned in the challenge video when we actually bought this motorcycle, I mentioned about, you know, if it's £1,500 that you've got to spend on a motorcycle, budget £2,000 just in case when you take the motorcycle home you've got something that urgently needs fixing on it, whether that be the fork seals, brakes, tyres, clutch in this case, anything that is wearable, perishable. You've got a little bit of cash there in reserve to help fix it. And so I mean, I saved myself 50 quid on the purchase of this motorcycle when I bought it, so there you go. The 50 quid I've spent on this new friction plates and the new heavy duty springs, well, there you go, it's gone towards that. So I still haven't technically gone over my £1,500 budget, despite the fact that I paid 1,450 quid for this motorcycle, and everything else is good. As far as I'm aware, everything else is good. Everything, it just needs a bit of a clean, and I've got some .4 lying around anyway already, so the brakes shouldn't be a problem, I think, once I've given them a good old service. But anyway, right, let's go and pick up the ZX-2 and let's go and practice some wheelies on that instead. But yeah, the next video that we do on the ZX-9R hopefully will be that clutch replacement video. I don't intend to take this motorcycle out all that much until the clutch has been fixed. But yeah, so definitely hit like, get subscribed, hit the notification bell as well so you don't miss that video when I do come to change out the clutches. By the way, I've never done before, I don't know if I mentioned that already, but never done that before, so it's going to be a new experience, and if I can do it, then all of you lot at home can do it as well. And that's the whole point of this motorcycle. If I break anything on it, I've got to attempt at least to fix it myself. So yeah, we'll see how that goes in the near future. Hopefully that'll be out next week. But also, by the way, I last Friday totally forgot to release a video. I had a video ready to go, and I thought it was scheduled, but it wasn't. And yeah, I totally forgot. So I may try and release an extra video this week as well, but we'll see how we do. So I might release an extra video on Tuesday or Thursday this week. We shall see. But anyway, let's grab the ZX-2 and let's finish off this video. Alright guys and gals, so yeah, I've got my ZX-2 back out again, and I'm going to film another video today on this bike. But I'll tell you right now, just jumping off the ZX-9 on the ZX-2, it's just it's so crazy, man. I've been so like snatchy and jumpy on the clutch and on the throttle just because, I mean, this bike is so much more refined and so much nicer in terms of how everything feels. Everything is, you got to be far more gentle with everything, and it's blowing my mind like how nice, even like the gear lever travel is non-existent. But oh man, every time I get on the ZX-2 after riding another bike, it's one of those experiences that just continues to deliver. It's so fun. And to be fair, the wheelies on this bike are easy. You don't have to worry about the clutch whatsoever. This thing will come up on its own, and you don't even have to give it that much throttle either. So yeah. I don't know. I wanted to use the ZX-9R for that kind of stuff anyway, because I mean it just makes sense, you know. But even just the seating position, how this bike feels to ride from the ergonomics point of view, it's so much more comfortable. Despite the fact that ZX-9R is very comfortable for a sport bike. Yeah, man, what a machine. But anyway, guys and gals, thank you ever so much for watching to the end of this video, and thank you ever so much for joining me on today's ride. It's actually been a really lovely day. We've had nothing but rain all week, all weekend. So it's nice to actually have a day where it's sunny for a change. But yeah, man, I mean, UK weather for you. You'd think it's autumn with how the weather has been over the last week, rather than summer. So there you go. Anyway, guys and gals, thanks again ever so much for watching. As always, leave a like, hit subscribe. Make sure to hit that notification bell as well, so you get to see a total noob try and change out a clutch. Getting nervous just thinking about it. But anyway, thanks again. Take care. Ride safe. We will catch you in the next video. Have a good one.